Hi, I am Umar Sheikh and welcome back to the YouTube channel of Australia Immigration Matters. In today's video, we are going to guide you how to check eligibility of an occupation for each of the states. Before submitting an EOI for any state, you need to check whether your occupation is eligible for that state or not. To do so, you need to explore each of the state's website and then you need to find whether your occupation code is enlisted in their skilled occupation list or not. In this video, you will be guided how to do it yourself. So let's get started. Before jumping to the state's websites, let's first explore the general standard skilled occupation list as available on the Department of Home Affairs website. In this skilled occupation list, you can simply see a search utility where you can find your occupation code and you can see for which of the subclasses your occupation is eligible. So let's take up an example of civil engineer. So if I type civil engineer over here, I can simply see that the civil engineer is included in the list of MLTSSL, which is a medium and long-term strategic skills list. It means that this occupation is eligible for all three skilled migration subclasses, that is 189, 190 and 491. Similarly, if we take up an example of retail pharmacist, then retail pharmacist is included in STSOL list, which is a short-term skilled occupation list. And for that purpose, this occupation is not eligible for 189 subclass and only eligible for 190 and 491 subclasses within the skilled migration category. Now, let's explore the state-wise websites and see whether your occupation is enlisted in their skilled occupation list or not before you submit an EOI for each of the states as per the eligibility from this utility. Now let's get started with the first state, which is Western Australia. When you come up on the main page of the state nominated migration program of the Western Australia, you can scroll down and you will see a search utility over here where it's saying 2023-24 eligible occupation. Now, obviously, they can revise the eligible occupations list as per the start of the next financial year, but the method to find the occupation will remain the same. So you will come over here and you will try to find your occupation and its eligibility for the state, and you will see that the civil engineer is part of building and construction industry, and civil engineer is included in Western Australia's Schedule 2, Western Australia's skilled migration occupation list Schedule 2, as well as in graduate. Similarly, the other matching occupation codes such as civil engineering draftsperson and technicians eligibility is also being reflected over here. On the other hand, if I try to find marketing specialist occupation over here, I will see that it's not giving any result, which means that marketing specialist occupation code is not eligible for Western Australia state. Similarly, let's try another one, which is like retail pharmacist. If I type in retail pharmacist over here, I can clearly see that this is part of healthcare and social assistance industry, and retail pharmacist is eligible for Western Australia through graduate pathway and through general Westmore Schedule 1 pathway. Now, what is the difference between Westmore Schedule 1 and 2? You can clearly read about this from this table, which is available on the same page. Now, let's move to the next state, which is ACT, the Australian Capital Territory, which asks for the Canberra matrix. Now, when you come on its skilled migrants page, you can clearly see that there are certain options which are available to explore, and there is one option of ACT critical skills list. Now, the ACT critical skills list is their skilled occupation list. When you come up on the skilled occupation list, you will see a table of ACT critical skills list, which was published in April 2023. Obviously, they have the right to revise this table in the next financial year, but the method to find your occupation will remain the same on ACT website. When you will come over here, you can simply try to find your occupation by using the find utility on your browser, and you will see that the 2332 civil engineer I have searched, which is available over here. On the other hand, if I try to find marketing specialist, this is also available, and retail pharmacist is also available. This is how you see whether your occupation code is enlisted in the skilled occupation list, which is also called critical skills list of the ACT state, ACT territory. Now let's move to the next state, which is South Australia. Now they have a very clear search utility again on their website, which is on their occupation list. When you come over this page, the South Australia skilled occupation list, you find a search bar under find your occupation. So what you can do is you can simply type in your occupation code or name of the occupation, and you will see the search results. Now obviously again it's providing you all the matching results. So let's open the civil engineer here, and here it is giving you the information that your occupation, that for which of the pathways of South Australia's nomination program your occupation is eligible. For example, civil engineer is eligible for South Australian graduates stream, working in South Australia stream, highly skilled and talented stream, and also offshore applicants can apply for South Australia for both 190 and 491. So this is the information which could be important for you. Similarly, let's try to find another occupation like retail pharmacist and open it, and it is now again giving you that the retail pharmacist is eligible for all of these four categories through 190 and 491 subclass, and with minimum points of 65 for eligibility. Now there is one important thing you need to understand. If you can see that in the offshore section, it's saying that top ranking offshore candidates who have submitted an EOI in the Department of Home Affairs Skill Select may be invited to apply for South Australian nomination. Now, if you see that it is not mentioning that your occupation may be eligible for highly skilled and talented stream. Now, in this case, for retail pharmacist, as an example, if you are an offshore applicant, you do not need to submit an ROI for South Australia for highly skilled and talented stream. Whereas if I search another occupation, let's suppose electrical engineer, and I open it and I go to the offshore section, it says offshore and candidates may be eligible under the highly skilled and talented category. It means that offshore applicants have a chance to submit an ROI on the South Australia's website via highly skilled and talented stream. And how to submit an ROI for South Australia, we have already shared its video in our YouTube library, which you can watch. Now, this is how you can check whether your occupation is eligible for South Australia's nomination program by searching on their website. Now, let's move to the next state, which is Queensland. Although it is now closed, as it's clearly mentioned that on 10th May, the Queensland has closed its state nominated skilled program. They will be reopening obviously in the next financial year, and they have clearly mentioned that they have the right to revise the skilled occupation list at the start of the next financial year. But how to check whether your occupation is enlisted in their skilled occupation list? For that purpose, you can see in the relevant section of eligible occupations, where you can see that if you are applying as a skilled worker living offshore, you must have an eligible occupation on the offshore QSOL. We will explore this, but if you are an onshore applicant of Queensland, then you can submit an EOI for Queensland for any of the occupations as per this legislative instrument 19051, right, or having Queensland, that they consider the overall Department of Home Affairs skilled occupation list for onshore applicants. Whereas for offshore applicants, the offshore QSOL list will be eligible, which I have clicked and now it's opened. You can clearly see that this list is for skilled workers living offshore. When you open it for further, you can see a table where all the occupation codes, occupation name, the eligibility for 190 and 491 of the QLD nomination program, and minimum post qualification full-time work experience requirement is mentioned. For example, if we try to find civil engineer, you can see that civil engineer is eligible for both 190 and 491, and it requires 4 years of overall work experience, full-time work experience, which is post-qualification, in order to be eligible for Queensland nomination program. Similarly, if I try to find retail pharmacist, again, the retail pharmacist is eligible for both subclasses of 491. However, it requires only 3 years of overall work experience post-qualification to be eligible for Queensland. Another we can try for marketing specialist, and when I have mentioned marketing, it is not giving me any result. It means that the marketing specialist is not eligible for Queensland nomination program as per their QSOL. If we try to find sales, it's not eligible. If we try to find, let's suppose, medical laboratory technician, now again it is eligible for both subclasses 190 and 491 of Queensland with 3 years work experience requirement. There are a few occupations. Let's talk about surveying and special science technician, which is not eligible for 190 but eligible for 491, and it requires 3 years of relevant work experience. On the other hand, there are more occupations where they are only eligible for 491. So you can check in this list whether your occupation is eligible for both subclasses of Queensland, and also what are the minimum post-qualification full-time work experience requirement for your occupation code, and whether your occupation is enlisted here or not before submitting the EOI for Queensland. Now let's move towards the next state, which is Northern Territory, which is a trade territory, practically speaking. So when you come to the main migration page of the Northern Territory, you see skilled occupation list. You come over here on this page, and then you have to click on the anti-migration occupation list. When you come on the migration offshore migration occupation list, now this is a common list for both onshore and offshore applicants. You need to go to the relevant alphabetical section to see whether your occupation is enlisted in that section or not. For example, if we are talking about marketing specialist, I will go to this section and I will see that the marketing word is not appearing in the search result. Whereas if I try to find hospital pharmacist, I can see that the hospital pharmacist is enlisted over here, and they have given the comments that the hospital pharmacist must provide evidence of Australian license registration or a statement outlining eligibility to obtain registration or license to work in Australia. Obviously, the retail and hospital pharmacists need to clear the exam before they can go for for the provisional registration with the HPRA. But obviously, for each occupation, the comments could be different, and you can read over here. Similarly, there are other occupations which are listed here, and you will find out that there are very limited occupations in the Northern Territory's migration occupation list. If I come in the last section, which has like physiotherapist, I can see retail pharmacist, vocational education teacher. If I come in the first section of A to F, I can see carpenter, civil engineers, dentist, so early childhood teacher. So there is a limited list of occupations for Northern Territory available through for to apply for their nomination program. So you can explore whether your occupation is enlisted in their migration occupation list or not from this website. Now let's move to the next state, which is Tasmania. So that's for Tasmania. You come to their page of skilled migration, and when you see there are two options, whether you can see the options of subclass 190 skilled nominated visa and 491 skilled work regional visa. You can go to the first section of 190 skilled nominated visa, and here you will see that you must have nominated an occupation on the relevant list of eligible skilled occupations. So while we are talking about the relevant skilled occupation, you can clearly see that this is the same standard skilled occupation list about which we were talking earlier, which is the Department of Home Affairs standard skilled occupation. So if your occupation is included in the standard skilled occupation list of Department of Home Affairs, then you are eligible for Tasmania for their 190. But the Tasmania 190 has their own nomination pathways. So you can see that the nomination pathway includes the skilled employment pathway, skilled graduate pathway, established resident pathway, and overseas applicant pathway, but only through the job offer for the healthcare applicants. Now, it clearly states that for Tasmania 190, the offshore applicants are not eligible, but the onshore applicants having skilled occupation list of having the occupation in the standard skilled occupation list of Department of Home Affairs can go for the Tasmania 190. Now let's move to the Tasmania 491 skilled work regional visa nomination program. And again, it is saying that you must have nominated an occupation on the relevant list of eligible skilled occupations, which is Department of Home Affairs standard SOL. Now, if we see the nomination requirements of migration Tasmania for 491, they have 6 nomination pathways: skilled employment pathway, skilled graduate pathway, established resident pathway, business operator pathway, and overseas applicants have 2 pathways. One is job offer pathway and one is invitation only pathway. Now, if you have a job offer, and specifically we are talking about the healthcare related job offer, you can apply directly to Tasmania via ROI, which will, in that case, your occupation will be part of the standard requirement of nominating an employment on the relevant Department of Home Affairs eligible skilled occupation list. However, if you are an offshore applicant, you are only eligible for Tasmania 491. In that case also, you need to check whether your occupation is enlisted in their OSOP, which is called Overseas Skilled Occupation Profiles. You will click over here, and you will and another PDF document will open, which is obviously which can be changed in each of the financial years by the state. and you will see in the content section that all the occupation codes which are eligible for Tasmania 491 state nomination program are listed over here. So you can quickly search whether your occupation is listed, and you can click on that, and it's just giving some background information, and a minimum experience requirement for is desired. It's not mandatory, it's desired. So this is how you check whether your occupation is enlisted in Tasmania's 491 offshore skilled occupation profiles or not, which is also called their skilled occupation list. Now let's move to the next state, which is NSW. Now for NSW, they when you come on their skilled visas list, so you can clearly see that they have two pathways for two subclasses, 190 and 491. When you go to 190 and you explore down, you can see that you can submit an you must have a valid skills. It states that you must have a valid skills assessment in an occupation on the eligible skilled occupation list or for the visa. Again, it is referring to the same skilled occupation list which is available on the Department of Home Affairs. So when you click over here, it moves you to the same standard skilled occupation list, which means that for NSW, your occupation can be any occupation which is eligible as per the standard skilled occupation list of Department of Home Affairs for the 190 of NSW. Similarly, if we see in the 491 subclass of NSW nomination program, you will see the same statement that for skill that you must have a valid skills assessment in an occupation on the eligible skilled occupation list for this visa, which means that for 491 NSW as well, your occupation can be any skilled occupation list, any occupation which is available as per the standard skilled occupation list of the Department of Home Affairs, so which we have already talked about earlier. Now lastly, let's talk about the Victoria. For Victoria, the relevant website is Live in Melbourne, and you can see that in the skilled migration visa section of Live in Melbourne website, there is an option of skilled visa FAQs. If we move to the FAQ section, you can clearly see that the first question is all about the occupation, and it clearly indicates that all occupations on the relevant Department of Home Affairs occupation list are eligible. This list is the same which we are talking about. Obviously, Victoria asks for an ROI submission, and through ROI there are certain nomination criteria of the state, the Victorian state itself. However, all the occupations which are available on the relevant Department of Home Affairs occupation list are eligible for Victoria as well, similar to NSW. So this is how you check whether your occupation is enlisted in each of the states, and through this, before submitting anyway, you should definitely check through all of these websites of the states whether your occupation is still eligible for that state or not, because the states can regularly update their skill occupation list. So before closing, I would like to thank everyone on behalf of Australia Immigration Matters. Keep watching and stay tuned for more updates.